हाय व्यूअर्स होप सो कि आप सब ठीक होंगे। व्यूअर्स, आज मैं आपके साथ एक वीडियो शेयर करने जा रही हूँ। व्यूअर्स, आज की मेरी इस वीडियो का टॉपिक है फंक्शनिंग ऑफ लॉब्स ऑफ पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड। सो व्यूअर्स, हम आज की इस वीडियो में फंक्शनिंग ऑफ लॉब्स जानेंगे। पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड के जो लॉब्स हैं उनकी फंक्शनिंग क्या होती है। सो व्यूअर्स, हम स्टार्ट करते हैं अपनी आज की वीडियो। व्यूअर्स, फर्स्ट ऑफ़ ऑल हम गूगल पर चले जाते हैं और जाके इसे फाइंड कर लेते हैं ताकि हम इसकी मज़ीद एक्सप्लेनेशन ले सकें। सो व्यूअर्स, यहाँ पर हम इसे फाइंड कर लेते हैं। Functioning of lobes of pituitary gland. Functioning of lobes of here are lobe of lobe of pituitary gland. So here's ये हमने find कर लिया है. The anterior lobe makes up about 80% of the pituitary gland. It regulates growth, metabolism, and reproduction through the hormones that it produces. The production of these hormones is either stimulated or inhibited by chemical messages sent from the hypothalamus to the pituitary. What is function of the pituitary lobe? The main function of your pituitary gland is to produce and release several hormones that help carry out important bodily functions, including growth, metabolism, how your body transforms and manages the energy from the food you eat. What are the functions of anterior and posterior lobes of the pituitary gland? The gland is attached to a part of the body, the hypothalamus, that controls its activity. The anterior pituitary gland is connected to the brain by short blood vessels. The posterior pituitary gland forms parts of the brain and secretes hormones directly into bloodstream under the command of the brain. What are the two parts of the pituitary gland and their function? The hypothalamus uses hormones secreted by the pituitary gland to control different processes important to life. The pituitary gland is split into two parts, anterior and posterior, each of which secrete unique hormones for different processes in the body. What is the function of the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland? The main role of the posterior pituitary is to store and release two hormones, oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Both of the lobes of your pituitary gland are connected to your hypothalamus, a part of your brain, through a stalk that contains blood vessels and nerve cells. Why pituitary gland is called master gland? The pituitary gland is sometimes called master gland of the endocrine system because it controls the function of many of the other endocrine glands. The pituitary gland is no larger than a pea and is located at the base of the brain. What is the function of all pituitary gland hormones? Your pituitary gland makes growth hormone which regulates growth, thyroid stimulating hormone which tells the thyroid gland to make hormones, prolactin which controls breast milk production. What is difference between anterior and posterior pituitary function? The pituitary glands are made up of the anterior lobe and posterior lobe. The anterior lobe produces and releases hormones. The posterior lobe does not produce hormone per se. This is done by nerve cell in the hypothalamus, but it does release them into the circulation. What is difference between the anterior and posterior lobe of the pituitary gland? The main difference between anterior and posterior pituitary gland is that the action of the anterior pituitary gland is regulated through vessels connected to the hypothalamus, whereas the action of the posterior pituitary gland is regulated through nerves connected to the hypothalamus. Which lobe of pituitary gland produces more hormones? Anterior lobe. Anterior lobe, it is made up of two distinct regions called the anterior lobe and posterior lobe, which are functionally active. There is an intermediate lobe in between them, the anterior lobe. The anterior lobe secretes the majority of hormones from the pituitary gland, which are under the regulation of the hormones secreted from the hypothalamus. सो व्यूअर्स, ये थी मेरी आज की वीडियो। होप सो कि ये आप लोगों को अच्छी लगी होगी। अगर मेरी वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो मेरी वीडियो को लाइक करें और मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें। एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो।